7:44 right now. In the last couple of weeks, there have been stories about the Russian government heading to a historic default on its loans. It's because of the sanctions imposed by the U.S. and other nations over the invasion of Ukraine. But what does that really mean, default? Our 9 News financial advisor, Bruce Allen from Bruce G. Allen Investments, joins us now this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Gary.
So talk about what's going on in Russia when it comes to possibly defaulting.
So a default is when, if you buy a bond as an investor, the issuer of the bond promises to pay you interest and your principal back at maturity, and they also promise to pay you in the currency that they agreed to. Most of Russia's government debt is issued inside Russia, but Russia has issued about $40 billion worth of debt outside of Russia in the international bond markets. Half of that debt's owned by Western European investors and U.S. investors. Well, that last week, instead of paying the interest in dollars, they paid him in rubles. And as you can imagine right now, rubles aren't worth very much.
Right.
They've got 30 days to rectify this, but the rating agencies put that debt into default. So it's the first time that Russia has defaulted in over 100 years. Last time Russia defaulted, the Tsar was running around.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Yes, sir.
So what does that mean? What does that practically mean for the economy of Russia and I guess for the Russian people?
Well, right now, the Russian economy, and I think we've got some data about this, is down about 11%. Most Americans have no idea that's how bad the impact of the economy has been. A bad recession in this country is down 3.5%. Mm-hmm. They're down 11%. The Russian default could make that matters worse. Number two is inflation is really going up dramatically. We have 8.5% inflation. They have 17 to 20%, double ours. So the Russian economy is in complete shambles right now. The default does not help, as you can imagine.
And is there any effect on other countries like the United States if they do, in fact, default on these loans?
Surely, first off, right now, Americans have almost no exposure to this default. So in and of itself, the default risk is almost non-existent. However, because they have defaulted, Russia has shut off an avenue for them to raise money. If Western European governments cease buying natural gas and oil, that will shut off another alley for them to get money. And that will force the Russians to try and find a way to finance not only their economy, but the war. And that's going to push them to the Chinese. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, the Treasury Secretary Yellen warned the Chinese government not to step into this in an inappropriate fashion, which is translation meaning be careful about how you handle yourself going forward. The Biden administration is watching how the Chinese respond. If the Chinese support the Russian government, if they need money, it is likely that the U.S. will sanction the Chinese government. Now, where does that come to us? The Chinese stock market represents about 30% of an asset class called emerging markets. And if the sanctions hit the Chinese, as they have the Russians, that could mean bad news for the Chinese stock market. So that's how that ultimately could affect us.
That'll be interesting to see what the Chinese decide to do on this whole thing. Yes. And Vladimir Putin all along has said, these sanctions, they aren't affecting us, but obviously they are. And I'm guessing the people there are going to take notice at some point.
You won't be shocked by this. I have not had any direct conversations with Vladimir Putin,
yeah.
But I suspect that that's not exactly accurate.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. As always, Bruce Allen, appreciate it.